How does a band create an album so legendary that collectors are willing to pay thousands for a single copy, only to vanish into thin air? Or how does a group influence some of the biggest names in rock history, yet remain completely unknown to the mainstream? Some of these bands were on the verge of greatness, but fate had other plans. Today we're uncovering 15 obscure bands from the 60s and 70s only a few know. Number 1. The Move. Before Electric Light Orchestra, ELO, Roy Wood fronted The Move, the most experimental of the late 60s British bands. A fusion of psychedelia, pop, and proto-heavy metal, The Move had a run of UK hits like Fire Brigade and Flowers in the Rain. The latter was a giant hit, and the first single played on BBC Radio 1 upon its release in 1967. International superstardom was thwarted by lineup changes and exposure in America. The group's experimental style and Wood's ability to create catchy, intricate arrangements meant that they were one of the most creative bands of their era. Number 2. The Pretty Things. Informally referred to as the Rolling Stones' wilder relatives, the Pretty Things were raw, outlaw, and psychedelic rock pioneers. Their SF Sorrow album is one of the very first rock operas and the intense story of a man's crisis of life. With their talent, they never broke out into the mainstream due to bad management and endless queues. Their rough-edge sound, incorporating blues, rock, and psychedelia, opened the doors to what would come later, but their inability to be marketed properly relegated them to being largely in the shadows. Although their influence on punk rock and early glam can be seen. Number 3. The Creation. Punk and glam rock have an obligation to the Creation. With their fuzz guitar riff and preemptive attack, they would go on to influence later bands like David Bowie and the Sex Pistols. Tracks like Making Time and Painter Man got catchy songs down with screaming guitar, frantic but fashionable playing. Making more excuses. Although they created a buzz within the UK spheres with their revolutionary music, poor promotion by their record label and lack of nurturing in the American market kept them from cutting it worldwide. Music aside, however, it remains a definite listen for all avant-garde rock fans. Number 4. The Nazz. While Todd Rundgren would go on to be a solo great, previously he led the Nazz, a band which combined British invasion harmonies with American garage rock. Hey, you tell me you love me, but I think you just need a place to stay. I am blind to whatever they're saying, and all I can see is Their song, Open My Eyes, was a psych pop staple, the gem of their brief history, complete with lush harmonies and jangly guitars. Unfortunately, internal tensions with the additional ingredient of Rundgren's departure ended the band before they could ever even achieve their true potential. Their music, however, still affects rock, and their power pop psych blend still has a following among classic rock and underground fans alike. Number 5, The Soft Boys. The Soft Boys were ahead of the curve in blending psychedelic rock and post-punk in ways that no one else was trying at the time. Their album Underwater Moonlight influenced alternative acts like REM and the Flaming Lips due to its freaky, otherworldly tone and unconventional lyrics. Their sound wasn't readily classified into one specific genre in the day, and this rendered it hard for them to go mainstream, though their inventiveness and experiments in music predestined the alternative rock mania that took place in the late 80s and the early 90s. Number 6, Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band. Captain Beefheart, at the helm of his Magic Band, was the quintessential 60s and 70s avant-garde rocker.
In neon nights, it walks in lights and chains. I'm in back time now, it's king for a day with my lady, feeling fine.
With his erratic personality and revolutionary music style, Beefheart's Trout Mask Replica is perhaps the most challenging but rewarding rock album ever.
We got my mother and father. It ran down all my kin. Folks I know. The wild goose flies from winter. Breaks my heart that I can't go.
Beefheart's fusion of blues, jazz, and freeform rock spawned an entire new language of music.
Cause listen, battles.
Despite his reluctance to adhere to the norms of his profession and hold on to the edges of popular culture, Captain Beefheart's influence on experimental rock and on artists like Tom Waits and The Residents remains. Number 7, The Tubes. The Tubes were notorious for their shocking, flamboyant concerts that had a tendency to satirize the excess of the rock lifestyle. Combining punk, glam, and performance art, their White Punks on Dope was a satirical song of the time. The band's hard-hitting stage shows with outlandish costumes and lewd performances repelled mainstream crowds and prevented them from having more success. They did achieve some limited commercial success later in their career with tracks like She's a Beauty. Though they were still cult artists due to their larger-than-life performances on stage. Number 8, The Fugs. The Fugs were playing a combination of garage rock and political activism years ahead of the existence of the word punk.
In the great bowling alley of your mind,
blending poetry, anti-establishment sentiments, and raw musicianship. Songs like Kill for Peace and CIA Man were politicized, rocking against the establishment with raw, angry sounds.
Kill, kill for a better time when there wasn't any poverty.
CIA Man.
Their hard-edged sound, often infused with socially rebellious lyrics, failed to appeal to mainstream listeners, but it attracted a loyal cult following who relished their experimental and radical approach to playing rock music.
The one that makes the other service name is fucking amen.
Number 9. The Chocolate Watchband. One of the toughest American garage rock bands of the 60s, the Chocolate Watchband blended blues, psychedelia, and punk energy. Their Let's Talk About Girls was a youth rebellion anthem that combined raw intensity and off-the-wall lyrics. While they created intense live shows and high-energy sound, they were handicapped by poor management and studio meddling, which prevented them from making their best use. But there is no denying their contribution to the garage rock and the psychedelic scene and how they continue to bask in cult popularity among raw, uncut rock music followers. Number 10. MC5. MC5 was a politically engaged proto-punk band whose live album Kick Out the Jams remains legendary for its raw energy and anti-establishment spirit. Their music was politicized by political ideologies, loud and fast, with tracks like Kick Out the Jams being anthems for counterculture movements. But their radical political affiliations and refusal to conform with the ramifications of mainstream rock caused them problems with their record label and the FBI keeping an eye on them. This was enough to decelerate their prospects for mass success, but their influence on punk rock is invaluable. Number 11. The United States of America.
Love don't come easy, babe. Got to be slow.
The United States of America was a highly innovative group that blended psychedelic rock with pioneering electronic music.
Simple to talk about love.
Their self-named album, released in 1968, fuses experimental soundscapes with synthesizers, tape manipulation, and avant-garde textures that were far ahead of the time.
Turning me round. So if you want me, baby, lethal and sweet.
Despite being groundbreaking in scope, the group never received the following they had earned and disbanded in no time after their first release. Their work itself, though, serves as a touchstone for experimental and electronic rock enthusiasts, with their influence felt by acts such as The Residents and even more commercial electronic musicians. Number 12. Kaleidoscope. One of the most innovative psychedelic rock groups of the late 60s. The the UK's Kaleidoscope released their 1967 debut album, Tangerine Dream, which is a breathtaking assortment of rich, ethereal songs that marry rock with folk, jazz, and Eastern themes. Although they were very innovative in their sound, they never gained popularity outside the UK, mainly because they lacked support from big record labels and were not given enough coverage in the US. Their music, however, is still enjoyed by collectors and fans of vintage psychedelic rock for its beautiful and intricate soundscapes. Number 13, Sir Lord Baltimore. Sir Lord Baltimore were one of the first proto-metal trailblazers. Their heavy, up-your-nose sound laying the groundwork for acts like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin.
I hear sirens calling me.
Their debut album, Kingdom Come, was heavy, fast, and relentless with raw guitar chords and thumping drums. Unfortunately, their brutal music was too brutal for critics and mainstream audiences at the time, and they were dismissed as a curiosity. However, their songs are a cult classic amongst metal fans nowadays, who like their early work in shaping the genre.
Sinking thoughts I could not link.
Number 14, Comus. Comus were a seriously fascinating group who wedded folk and progressive rock with weird, verging on horror atmospherics.
Your soft white flesh turns past me. It's more damning than a demon's curse.
Their first album, First Utterance, is a very odd and fascinating disc with threatening melodies and jarring lyrics. Too intense for mainstream fans of folk music and too experimental for rock FM, they've been a cult since. Their music has been rediscovered by later generations who respect their ability to merge beauty and ugliness in a way that no one else dared to try. Number 15, Love.
Heard a funny thing.
Led by Arthur Lee, Love was one of the most experimental groups of the 1960s. Their Forever Changes album is listed as one of the greatest albums of all time, marrying folk, rock, and orchestral instruments into a sound that was years ahead of its generation. However, although the album itself was a hit, internal band issues and their inability to tour extensively kept them from gaining the popularity they deserved. Their influence on psychedelic rock and pop music still exists today, yet they never received the mainstream popularity their music should have achieved. These 15 bands may not have topped the charts, but their music still holds up today. If you're looking for something fresh from the past, these bands are the perfect place to start. Which one was your favorite? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into rock's forgotten history.